Hey, everybody. You are now tuned into The Blackout, shining a light on Black excellence, activism, and culture. Blacked out by the majority on AfroVibes Radio, the #1 online internet radio station with your girl, Tequila. Today's special guest is one of the amazing members of AfriFest, Mr. Festus. How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for coming on to our show. You're going to share a little bit about the cultural event that you guys have coming up soon. So, first off, tell us about what AfriFest is.
So, AfriFest is an event that's put on by NAMC, Nigerian American Multicultural Council, once a year to highlight the culture, heritage, and traditions of Africa.
And so, what was the inspiration behind having AfriFest?
Well, the inspiration behind having AfriFest is that Africa as a whole has a diversity of cultures, has a diversity of traditions, and we want and Houston has a conglomerate of many of the African nations, and so we wanted to highlight the excellence of those people here in the United States.
Okay, amazing. And so tell us a little bit about some of the attendees and just having an annual event. Is this the first one?
No, this is actually the 7th annual event.
Uh-oh.
This is the 7th year. Oh, I'm telling you, this is a year of Jubilee.
Okay.
We're going to get down this year. It's going to be a great time. People could come out. Typically, we have about 1,000 to 2,000 attendees. This year, we're expecting quite a bit more. We're expecting into the 3,000 to 4,000 attendee range.
And so where's the AfriFest going to be located?
So it's going to be located at Houston Baptist University. That is Houston Baptist University at 7502 Fondren Road, Houston, Texas, 77074.
Okay, amazing. And so just a little bit more about the people that attended in the past. What were some of the themes that you guys had? What were some of the experiences, and what did you get back from the previous years that you guys through this event?
Oh, yeah. So throughout the years, we've done different types of safaris. We've done children's passports. We've done, of course, face painting. And some of the attractions we've had in the past are coming back this year. The Brazilian Afro drums, special choreographer named Jajo, and he's going to close us out with an excellent dance. And so, of course, we have all of our different vendors, Wazobia. I know AfroVibes is going to be in the house. It's going to be a ton of fun.
So tell us a little bit about, let's piggyback. You mentioned that you guys cover so many different African cultures within the AfriFest. Tell us about some of the different type of cultures that are within Africa and some of the different traditions and dialects that are going to come along with that.
This is such a good question, So a lot of people, they think, okay, because NAMC is putting on AfriFest, that it's all about Nigeria, and that's far from the truth. So if you look at Nigeria alone being one of the most populous countries in Africa, there's almost 250 different subcultures and languages and dialects within Nigeria alone. And so if you were to take that and expand it out to all the different countries in Africa, you have Kenya who's going to be there, you have Cameroon who's going to be there, you have Ghana who's going to be there, and all of their different subcultures. And so they're going to bring their food, they're going to bring their music. We have about 6 or 7 different countries coming out, and so it's going to be phenomenal.
And so with that, I know with your vendors, you're also going to have different types of food that they can taste.
Absolutely.
So tell us about the different types of things that they can expect from the vendors as far as culturally, because I know some people may, like in Nigeria, I don't know if this is everywhere, but like I love jollof rice and beef.
Okay.
So tell us about the different type of plates they can expect.
Okay, very good. So yes, there's going to be jollof rice. There's going to be Ghanaian jollof rice, and everybody knows how that competition is kind of heating up. Who has the better jollof rice? I'm Nigerian, so we do. There's definitely going to be plantain, suya, Cameroonian fish. Ivory Coast is going to be there, so there's going to be some food from Ivory Coast and so many other places.
And so with the vendors and some of the food, why did you guys decide to be very diverse with the people that you're going to allow to be a vendor?
This is such a great question. Thank you. So the thing is, Houston itself has a very diverse population of people who are African born, and then those who are not, those who are African American, who are still descendants of Africa, and they want to reconnect. And this is not just for them, but this is also to highlight the African cultures to everyone in Houston. And so by presenting the diversity of cultures, the diversity of countries, and diversity of food, everybody can come get a taste of what is Africa.
Absolutely. And so, what are you hoping that some of your attendees can gain from this year's AfriFest?
Well, number one, family fun. That's the huge thing. You know, your kids are going to come and they're going to be entertained. Kids get in free, seniors get in
Okay.
free.
We like the
So
free.
we like the free. We like the free. And right now, you get your tickets for $5. So, you know, you need to go and pre-order your tickets. You could pre-order your tickets, AfriFest Houston on Eventbrite. AFRI Fest Houston at Eventbrite. Now, this is the thing. Kids getting free. There's going to be educational aspects for kids with storytelling. So, if for those who understand African culture, proverbs are a huge part
Yeah.
of African culture and parables as well. And so, your kids are going to come get a taste of that. If you're into dancing and fun, you're going to spend some time with Jajo and again the Brazilian drum crew. That's going to be huge, and you're going to be able to enjoy that. And you're going to be able to see that even different parts of the world have African influence.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So, the thing I really love about this is although it caters to the African community, it also opens that window for Black Americans to be able to come and learn about themselves and their culture as well. How is
Absolutely.
this event going to actually bridge the gap between the two?
Absolutely, absolutely. So one of the best bridges is that as these country groups have their own vendor spaces, you can come and ask questions about that specific country. And there's going to be people there from that community that can tie back your roots by explaining the history of that country and how those people are located here in the United States and beyond. And so you can come there, you can ask your questions if you just want to learn about specific cultures. Again, some of these countries that are attending are predominantly West African. So, as we know, historically, that's where a lot of African Americans come from as well.
Absolutely. And so, what can you tell us about some of the differences between people that are native born in Africa versus being first generation Americans here?
That's a very, very good question, and especially because if you look at the history of immigration and the United States, it's very different nowadays. If you look at it, so many Africans came here in the '80s, and so if you're like myself, you're first generation born here. So a lot of people can't tell the difference. You know, if you listen to the way I speak, some people say, "Oh man, this guy's not African," and so the thing is, it's very unique in terms of how our heritage is connected, because the thing is your cultural identity is often tied into your language, and so you're going to be able to come and hear people speak native tongues and tie back into those roots. And quite often that's one of the main things that separates us, but you're also going to be able to see how the cultures interact with each other, right? The music, the dress, and all those different types of things.
Now, unfortunately, as of recently, we've been watching the news and seeing a lot of things that's been transpiring over in Nigeria. How can this event actually not just help and assist and uplift the Nigerian and African community overall, but how can it possibly be something that can help back home as well?
This is a very, very good question. One of the things that we do with AfroFest is we raise scholarship dollars, and these scholarship dollars go to the next generation of students that are here in the United States, and it also ties back into the professional organization of NAMC. And one of the things that NAMC is known for is known for its professionalism and its excellence, and highlighting that excellence both back home and here. For example, if you went to our gala last year, our main presenter was from Africa, and so the thing is, there's an excellent tie-in for those younger students who are being raised here to still get exposed to their culture there, and its excellence on both sides.
So, what's your personal opinion about what's going on back home?
Ooh, this is a good question. So my personal opinion is that we that are here have been blessed, and I believe that whenever you're blessed to be a blessing. And so the thing is, I think that some of the advantages that we have here and that we've created here, we should share that with back home. And so I think AfroFest is a phenomenal way of doing that, because it keeps us unified. And so often, if we listen to the media and we listen to the news, not media like
Yeah.
like you media, but the other media. If we
About that
listen,
mainstream.
if you listen to the mainstream media, oftentimes it wants to divide us. And as even on social media, it seems like everything is so contrasted, black and white. And I think that even though people do line up on both sides, you have to be very critical in your personal reasoning, understanding that you can be a bridge and you could be a bond. And that's why coming to AfriFest is a phenomenal idea.
And that's amazing. And I love that with the whole entire concept of just being able to celebrate so many different cultures at AfriFest
Absolutely.
and just uplift the people, because I think right now is a time that they really need that, and just to show them that we can unify just amongst the African diaspora.
Absolutely.
For those that may not know, what is some of the issues that's actually affecting Nigeria right now with the government and everything that's taking place?
You are an excellent host.
I mean, they may not know.
They may not know. That's true. Well, obviously, if you listen into the past years, you know, you have the kidnappings of the different girls. You have some tensions from Northern Africa and Southern Africa. These tend to be along religious lines, but they also tend to be on economic lines. And so that's why AfriFest is key, because we're not just all sheep herders and goat herders.
Yeah.
There's people who are in oil business, oil and gas. There's people who are in energy. There's people who are in healthcare. And so the thing is, by being able to come here, for example, one of our vendor sponsors is the Association of Nigerian Physicians, and they're going to be able to give free health screenings here at AfriFest. So if you want to come get your blood pressure checked, I believe they're also doing sickle cell, you could come get that check. And this is something that I think is underappreciated, is the fact that we have a very, very big impact on the rest of the world. Speaking of Nigeria specifically, there's a research done in the Houston Chronicle a couple years back that Nigerians hold the most PhDs in the United States. And so this is something that a lot of people kind of gloss over. And I think sometimes we underappreciate, because that means that this whole entire system is partially held together by us being professional and by us using our excellence in this community. And I think it's also very important to tie that back home. When people have senses of despair because of the economy there and the things that are happening back there.
Yeah, and I'm really glad that you mentioned the whole aspect of education, because I know how important that is, not just to the Nigerian community, but a lot of I'm trying to find the right words. A lot of international individuals, they believe in education, which is why they actually come to America for better opportunities. But with that being said, we've also noticed in the Houston area, there's been more events that celebrate the performing arts, bringing a lot of African art to the Houston area. You like bringing a lot of food, a lot of music, just all these different elements. What do you think about African arts really just taking over, and creativity? Because I know education is so up there on the ladder, but now I think the younger people are really starting to express themselves through their art and their music, because Afrobeats is really taking off.
Absolutely. And I love what AfroVibes is doing, and I love what's happening with Burna Boy. He's coming to Houston, and so many different people coming to Houston and getting their opportunity. Wale, all these different types of artists. But this is the thing. Africa's the birthplace of everything.
Say it.
Africa's the birthplace of everything. And by being the birthplace of everything, creativity is in our blood, point blank, period. And so the education just ties in the quantitative data with the fact that we can express ourselves. That's all education does, right? It's who we are, what we know, what we do, and it's just expressed in different ways. And so the thing is, at the same time, excuse me, all of Africa can be creative in different types of ways. Creative in business, creative in dress and fashion, creative in music. And so the thing is, AfriFest highlights all of that. So you're going to be able to come for $5 if you get your pre-sale tickets. If you don't, it's $10 at the door, and you need to come early, because last year the food was so banging. You know, we almost ran out of food. You know, people was eating snow cones at the end. They said, "Oh my goodness, all the jollof rice is gone." So you got to get your ticket, and you got to get there.
So for yourself, what has been your favorite experience in AfriFest?
This is a very good question. One of my favorite things is to volunteer. As to volunteer, and so I have had the great joy of volunteering for probably the past 2 years, I believe. I think the past 2 years, maybe 3, and it gives you the other side. You know, the other side, when you could sit down. You could talk with the vendors, ask them how they're doing, how they came up with their crafts, selling earrings, selling clothes, how they imported their goods from Africa, and understanding how those goods tie back into back home. So
Absolutely. Well, before you get out of here, one more time, give us the website, social media, Eventbrite, location, all that good stuff to make sure. And wait, hold on. Before you do that, I need you in 60 seconds to tell them why they should come to AfriFest.
okay, cool. So you should come to AfriFest because you want to enjoy a phenomenal time with your family and experience Africa here in Houston. All of Africa, Kenya, South Africa, Egypt. Every place is going to be right here at AfriFest, and you're going to be able to experience that culture, the food, the fun, the clothes, the music. You're going to get your dance on. You're going to enjoy yourself right here at home in Houston. And you could come to 7502 Fondren Road, Houston, Texas 77074 at Houston Baptist University on September 14th. Hear me again, that is September 14th. And you could get your tickets at www.nancyhouston.org/AfriFest, www.nancyhouston.org/AfriFest, or you could get them from Eventbrite at AfriFest 2019, eventbrite.com. AfriFest 2019, eventbrite.com. And so we hope to see you there. You got to come on out.
Now, quick question. Will there be any AfriFest shirts? Because I see you got your Reppin' Africa shirt on today.
So the shirts are going to be for volunteers and sponsors. So, you know, if you part of AfroVibes, you could come on through. As a matter of fact, I do think they're going to be selling some. They're going to be selling a few.
So we got to get them shirts.
So
I want one.
So, yeah, you got to get there early if you're trying to get a shirt, or you can sign up as a volunteer. Just go ahead and go to nancyhouston.org, and there's a volunteer section. Sign up as a volunteer. You get your free shirt. You get in for free, too. We got a little special something for our volunteers, so you definitely want to be there.
Well, thank you so much, Festus, for coming onto my show and just enlightening us on the Nigerian culture as well as AfriFest. I look forward to going myself. I can't wait for some jollof rice. I hope I say this right. Is it moi moi?
Moi moi?
Yeah, I like moi moi. You know what I'm saying? It's my little thing.
Okay,
Just playing.
Right.
But no, I really love it, and I'm just so grateful for AfroVibes because they've connected me with my culture. I still don't know specifically where I come from, but at least I know I have something that I can attach myself to.
Absolutely.
And so AfroFest as well, it allows us to be able to do that as Black Americans. So thank you, and we highlight you guys as Black excellence on my show.
Well, we enjoyed being here. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. And thank you all for tuning into The Blackout, shining a light on Black excellence, activism, and culture with your girl Tequila on AfroVibes Radio. Make sure to check out our Facebook and Instagram pages at The Blackout AVR. And to stay up to date on our previous discussions and future events, please visit AfroVibes Facebook and Instagram at AfroVibes Radio, Twitter at AfroVibes Radio with an S, and lastly, listen to us online at www.afrovibesradio.com or simply download the AfroVibes Radio app on the Apple or Google Play Store.